As a boy, I thought that my grandfather was a racist. He objected to my mother marrying my father. My mother's stepmother slapped my father in the face. I couldn't understand how a Jew targeted by Nazis for his own race could do this.
My father was a survivor. My mother was a survivor who then died when I was 2. They had suffered immeasurably at the hands of non-Jews. And that was still very much in their consciousness. They did not want to lose any more people in the Jewish community. They believed they had an obligation to carry Judaism on. And the reason he wanted to come to America was one thing and one thing only. He believed that America was the place of freedom and opportunity. I think to anyone that believes in those ideas, they're ideas until you experience them in day-to-day realities. So, growing up in Rodham, freedom and opportunity might have meant to my father being able to get a job, eat 3 meals a day, and be left alone. To me, growing up in America, freedom and opportunity meant that I could join America, meet all kinds of people that my father would not have even been able to imagine. The rejection by my own family for marrying a non-Jew, and my husband always said for marrying a black. That alienation was an extreme consequence that I actually had not expected from my own family. I thought their humanity would trump everything.
I was not the first person in my family to go through this.
My mother's parents, my grandparents, tried to talk her out of getting married to my father in 1944. It was a pretty radical thing to do. All of her siblings left, abandoned her, and never came back, ever. If there was something wrong with my father, that would be another story. But there wasn't. It was just that he was black. I remember when I was about 4 or 5 years old, sitting on the floor playing with a train set or something, and my mother got a phone call. It was from my grandparents, and they had been gone for about 6 years by then. She had no contact at all. They said, "We're down the street. We would very much like to come and visit if that's okay with you." So I remember how excited she was. And she fluttered around, and we were excited that your grandparents are coming to see you. They were really just good people. They had a moral conscience. They were Northerners. They knew that segregation was an evil thing. They had never raised my mother to be prejudiced. They would not allow that kind of language. So they had a sense of consciousness, and so they had, in a sense, betrayed themselves. And they set that right.
Well, it took my father about 15 years to come back around. I think on a certain level, he truly understood that these categories did not matter so much. I think he wanted to know his daughter again, and I think he wanted to know his grandchildren. And so one day he made the decision to come out, and he got off the plane and shook my husband's hand and became the grandfather that we always wanted and needed.